Okay, today we're going to have a look at starting to make this part, which is the side. We need two of these. This is the side piece for our barrel top box. So what we're going to do, the tools we're going to use today are a steel ruler, a pencil, and we'll also need a little piece of abrasive paper. Now the first thing we need to do, we're going to mark out the lines here on our piece of plywood. You should have two of these pieces of plywood. So here's our first piece of plywood, and before we even start, the first thing we need to do, if we just look at it, it's quite clear on this piece that you've got on plywood often has a good or a face side and a not so good side. So pick the side that you want on the outside. Just be aware of which side you're going to do on the outside. I'm going to mark on that side because it will be clearer, but you might want to mark on the other side. But this will be on the outside of the box. And also, we're going to take the abrasive paper and we're just going to clean around and take off any of the rough edges so we don't get any splinters from the saw. And it's nicer to work with. So I've already done that. Now I'm going to start to mark out. Now, we've got 5. If you look here, we've got 5 divisions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, if we look at the measurement on that, the piece is 100 millimeters. We're using millimeters. The piece of plywood is 100 millimeters across, and you can see quite clearly there that each of the lines is 20 millimeters apart. So to mark out, we're going to take our piece of plywood here, and if you look here, we're going to mark, I'm going to do this marking at 20. I've got that there right up against the edge. I'm checking that. 20, 40, 60 and 80. And of course the edge is 100. So now we've got our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to move down the piece of plywood. And again, making sure the ruler's on the edge here. And as accurately as we can, 20, 40, 60, 80. And we're just making little marks there. I hope you can see those. And then what we're going to do is we're going to line through. So we take the steel ruler, we start on the top one there, we bring the bottom of the ruler down to the bottom one here. So start at the top, bring it across until they're both lined up, and then a nice clean line across. And the second one, and the top line onto the bottom line, down, 3, make sure it's accurate, and 4. So there's our lines divided up, so we've got that. Now what we need to do here is we need to mark the depth of this cut there, and if you look, you can see the depth is the thickness of the piece of material. So quite easily what we can do is we can take the other piece of wood we've got, we can place it on top here, and we can make sure that the edge here is flush. Now by flush you can see that these are absolutely level, those two faces that are level are called flush. And we make sure, check that with your fingers, you can feel it the other side, I'm feeling it at the back there, and then put our line across there. And the other one, we'll put my on the edge there, make sure it's lined up. Make sure that's nice and square there, so we've got those there. And then the last thing here is just to mark out the pieces that are waste. So 2 clear crosses there mean that these pieces are going to be waste, and what we can do is just take our piece of work here, take the ruler there, make sure you get this at 90 degrees. You could use a tri-square for this, but as we've got a ruler, and if you're just careful with it, and there we go. So we've got that all marked out, and that's ready now to cut out. So that's what your final marked out piece of work should look like. So that's it, marking out the long side for your barrel top box.